Are the meals in Joe Wicks' latest book really as fast to prepare as he says they are? I have picked 4 meals that I know my family are going to absolutely love that all don't have a very large preparation time. One of the meals that I pick in this video was nowhere near as fast as he said it was, and I learned a very good life lesson along the way, so watch out for that later. Today I am giving the cheesy baked eggs with ham a go. It says it will take 10 minutes to prepare. Let's test that out. The first step is to get the oven heating up, which I have just gone and done. Now I'm going to go through and see what I need to do next. So it says I've got to heat some oil in a frying pan and cook down my spinach and my garlic. In the recipe it says I need 50 grams of Gruyere cheese finely grated. So I'm going to do that now. And this is something I am particularly interested about with the recipe, is when, the recipe says you've got garlic that you crushed and cheese that you've already grated, is that included in the 10 minutes preparation time? I'm quite excited that this recipe has Gruyere cheese in it, because we quite like having a homemade quiche every now and then for lunch. And I find that Gruyere just adds a really, really delicious flavour to your quiches in particular. So now I'm going to move over to the hob and start the frying process. Right, so I'm going to add my spinach in. Now I might have to adjust the timing slightly for mine because I am using chopped spinach. So it already has obviously been wilted down. So I'm actually also going to pop the garlic in as well, so they can start cooking together. Now, whilst that starts to heat through, I've got one more bit of prep to do, which is chopping up some ham that's going to go in here in a minute. This is heating through nicely, and whilst it continues to cook, I'm just going to get my next set of ingredients ready. So I've got to pop some salt in here and some black pepper, but also some nutmeg. Give it a stir and add in my ham. Just going to grease the dish, then add in my spinach mix. Then to make 4 little wells for the eggs to go in. I feel like he had a slightly wider dish in the picture in the book. Just try and do it so they don't go into each other. Now I need to crack an egg into each well. I love it. I can see some of the white has actually already gone into my other well. Maybe I need to make the walls a bit higher. I think this is also a good test. Sometimes you see recipes in cookbooks, and when you make it, it ends up looking nothing like the picture. We've followed Joe Wicks for such a long time and absolutely love his recipes. So I'm sure this is going to taste really, really delicious. And then the final step is to put the Gruyere over the top. I'm wondering if I was a bit too generous with my cheese grating. It looks like quite a lot of cheese, but I think that's going to make it taste even better. So there we go. It was actually really easy to prepare. So I'm going to pop this in the oven now, and then we'll see what it tastes like. The eggs are nearly done, so I'm just going to start toasting up my sourdough. The eggs are now done and ready to be tasted. I've got some of my toast, and I'm going to dig in and see what it's like. That toast is over. Really tasty, and I'm so impressed at how fast it was to cook. This 100% delivered on what the recipe promised in the book. Our kids love salmon, so I decided I would give this hot smoked salmon and broad bean pasta a go. Now, it's a very, very hot day, and I like the look of this recipe as it doesn't need that much cooking. So let's see if I can actually prepare it in 15 minutes. To make this hot smoked salmon, I've got to first start cooking some pasta. So I'm going to add some boiling water to this, and then I'll get it cooking on my hob. I've also got to do the same for some broad beans, which I've defrosted. So I now need to juice and zest these 2 lemons. Now, my kids, I think, have taken the plastic bowl that's at the bottom, that lives at the bottom of my juicer. So I've got a slightly strange setup here. One of their Christmas bowls actually perfectly fits this on, so that will have to do. I think it might be time to invest in a new juicer. Just going to have a check on the pasta. See how that's looking. So now I'm just going to get this salmon ready and then remove it from its skin. By the time I've done that, it should be time to take the pasta off. So far, I would say this meal has been pretty easy to assemble. However, we are coming up to quite a fiddly bit. The pasta's now done, so I'm going to get that drained and drain the beans as well. Okay, so now I need to get each of these beans and shell the bean like that. I'm interested to see how long that actually takes. I feel like for a fast recipe, I was quite surprised to see this as one of the instructions. And actually, I think if I was doing this recipe in future, I'd probably use an edamame bean instead. This seems like quite a faff. Weeknight after school, the last thing I want to be doing is individually shelling beans. I'm currently looking at this, questioning my life choices, if I'm honest. But you know what? This is why I decided to do some videos as a bit of a test. Because I think sometimes with these cookbooks, you know, you can think, oh, that looks like a nice, easy recipe. Not many ingredients. I think only until you actually do the steps of some of the recipes do you realise like what you're actually getting yourself into. If you're new to my channel and this is the first video of mine that you're seeing, rest assured, most of my other videos involve me taking lots of shortcuts to make easy family dinners. And I try and create food that I can make in one batch so that I've got time to do all the other things I need to do when I come in from school and have a lovely dinner on the table, really nice and quick for the kids. I'm going to just have to do the rest at the table as a garnish. This has definitely taken too long now. I'm going to heat my pasta back through again because the recipe says add the beans to warm pasta, but in the time it's taken to shell the beans, the pasta's actually gone pretty cold. And then it says I need to add in the lemon juice, all of the salmon, the lemon zest, and then a little bit more olive oil. Gonna stir this up to combine. I'm sure it's going to taste delicious, but I feel like these beans maybe were not worth the effort that went into it. Let's give it a try. That tastes so good. I think they're going to absolutely love it. So today I'm going to have a go at making these Cowboy burgers. We quite like going out for a burger, so if I can crack making a really tasty one at home, that would be great. And this says it's only going to take me 15 minutes to prepare. So I've just looked ahead in the recipe, and it looks like once I've made the burgers, I've got to cook some sweet corn in the saucepan. But I'm just going to microwave this, as I think that's going to save me so much time, and I can do that whilst I'm making the patties. What I love about Joe Wicks' recipes is that they are really easy to follow. With a couple of seasonings, you can make some really delicious burgers in this case, in very little time at all. And this is definitely a recipe I think that we will be doing again. Now, I actually have used slightly more mince than the recipe says, but the great thing about this recipe is I'll just cook however many burgers we want to eat with this meal, and then I can freeze the ones that we don't use and just have them at another time, which is quite handy. There we go. Right, I'm going to wash my hands and then move on to the next step. So I'm now going to get these ready to go in the air fryer. So he says to put some olive oil on either side of each burger. I'm just using an olive oil spray today. So I'll get that on to cook, and then I'm going to make the dressing. Right, so I cooked the corn in the microwave whilst I did the patties, so that's just cooling. So to make the relish, I need to trim and slice some spring onions. Pop those in. Then I'll add in my sweet corn, Dijon mustard. Now I'm just doing half of the sauce recipe because I'm just doing the 2 burgers today. Then I'm going to add some of this Worcestershire sauce, some chili flakes, need to add some finely chopped coriander. Okay, then some smoked paprika. I feel like I use smoked paprika in everything. I love smoked paprika. Then I've got to juice and zest this lemon. Zest it first. And I've literally just remembered that I'm only doing half, so good thing I remembered now before I put way too much lemon in it. Now I just need to add in some mayonnaise. I don't know if you heard in the background, my air fryer has literally just finished, so I can check and see with my thermometer if the burger's cooked through, and then I can assemble. So, because my patties were slightly thicker, they need a little bit longer to reach temperature, which is fine. There we go. And that just goes to show the importance of using one of these thermometers, just to make sure that the food is completely cooked through. And now I just need to get my final fillings sorted out. So I'm going to cut 2 nice thick slices of this tomato. And that'll be nice to have with a salad on the side. I'm going to layer this into the buns with the tomatoes and the burger. The burgers are nearly done. So I'm just going to get my burger buns ready. Laying a piece of lettuce. Then my tomato. My burgers are done. And as you can probably tell, we like to have our meat pretty well cooked when it comes to steak and things like that. Other people might want it rarer. So I guess you can adapt the cooking time. And I'll just pop the relish on. Then we can tuck in. Perfect. I'm really, really pleased with how that's come out. And actually, cooking time was completely to your preference, but preparation-wise, this one was really fast and exactly how the book suggested. We need a really easy dinner tonight, and so the final recipe I'm trying is this spicy mixed bean chili bowl. It says it's going to take 15 minutes to prepare. Let's put that to the test. So in the recipe, the instructions are to use ingredients that have already been chopped. In my mind, that's part of the prep time. So we're going to see, can I actually do it in the 15 minutes? In the recipe, I have to chop up some of the ingredients before I start frying. I am taking some shortcuts in that I've got some frozen diced onions. I just actually ran out of frozen peppers. Otherwise, I probably would have just used those. So now I just need to open up the tins that I'm going to need for the recipe. Now I'm left-handed, and this tin opener saves me every single time. I've put a link to it below in case you're interested in finding out more about it. It genuinely is so easy. You just press the button and it gets the lid off perfectly without creating a really jagged edge. I love this tin opener. And it just makes food preparation so much faster, especially being someone who is left-handed. I'm going to get slicing the avocado and some of the extra bits I need and then move over to the hob. Now I'm going to add in the onion. And the pepper and the garlic. And I've taken a shortcut and used these frozen garlic cubes. Then it's just a case of adding in the seasonings, some tomato puree, and letting it cook down before adding in the chopped tomatoes, the beans, and some soy sauce before allowing it to simmer and the sauce to thicken slightly. Now the sauce is thickened, all that I need to do is assemble my bowls. I've microwaved up some rice and I'm going to top it with a generous portion of the chili. He actually does a fried egg in the book, but we didn't fancy having that with this meal. I've used some feta, some chopped coriander, and of course a squeeze of lime and some avocado to finish off. This meal, again, was super easy to prepare, exactly how the book suggests, and I love that you could make this in bulk and keep some in the freezer to have afterwards. I actually loved it so much, I made it again for my friends that weekend. So after cooking all 4 meals, I definitely have some favourites and some ones that I would do again, but in a slightly different way. So by far, the easiest meal to prepare were the baked ham and cheese eggs, and they were so delicious. I definitely want to do that one again. Coming in at a close second were the Cowboy burgers. I love the fact that I could make a large portion of the burgers in one go, keep them in the freezer, and all I'm really doing is making the relish and cooking them. Next up was the chili. That was so delicious. I love the idea of putting the feta cheese on the top, and I actually used it for hosting for a very large group of people a week or so after making this recipe. And last but not least, it's probably no surprise that the salmon and broad bean pasta was definitely my least favourite recipe. I never want to shell a broad bean ever again, and next time I would definitely swap those broad beans out for frozen edamame and just cut down the preparation time. But all in all, I would say this book is true to its promises. These meals are really quick to prepare, and as always with Joe Wicks recipes, they are super delicious. If you found this video interesting, please let me know, as I'm trying some new formats out and I might do this one again with some of the Jamie Oliver quick meals next time. Otherwise, please do check out the other videos on my channel. Recently, I prepared for the summer holidays by making a month of meals for under £150, so go check that one out if you haven't had a chance to see it.